toast and toast. Good evening. Hi, I'm Queen D.
And I'm Clay D, the one and only G.
And we're toasting because we're so excited about this evening. Clay, I just want to thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Queen.
You're so welcome. We both love the book of power. And this is book 4. So we just love the entire power universe. And this is very exciting because Tommy, aka Joseph Sikora, did I say that correctly?
Joseph Sikora.
Sikora. He's going to be pronouncing all the words for me because I got that New York accent. But anyway, I'm from New York. And I love this series because I get a chance to see a continuation of Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent's journey. He lived across the street from me. We're both from Queens, New York. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to take a sip on that. But getting into the series, Tommy decides to leave New York and leave it in the back of his rearview mirror. And he sets his sights on going to Chicago. And what he doesn't realize is Chicago is very different from New York. New York is made up of boroughs, for those who've never been to New York and don't know it. But New York has Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, and Manhattan. Chicago, which I learned, is more territorial in blocks, in sections. And so this is going to be very different for Tommy. Wouldn't you say, Clay?
It absolutely will be. It won't be no easy picnic now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because first of all, another thing I found out that it's more segregated.
That's for sure. Chicago's one of the most segregated cities in the United States.
So we have the Italians, we have the Irish, we have the whites, we have the black, and the Latinos. So this is, and you know what? I bet they even have Asians. They just not talking about it.
I'm sure they do.
But in the first series, what we see is that Tommy is very upset because from a continuation of last year, 2022, when his friend and partner, Liliana, was murdered. Tommy has been very distraught, hasn't
he? Yes, I mean, you see him in the first scene, he's sitting in his black white beater, looks like he's wearing some black Calvin Klein boxers, drinking Canadian whiskey. It looks like Irish berry greens. He's got a Lucky Charms on the coffee table.
Ew. Now see, to me, that would make me want to throw up. I mean, to have cereal and then have the whiskey next to it, I don't think my stomach can handle it.
Not at all.
But he's sitting there and he's drinking. And all of a sudden he hears Liliana's voice going, Tommy, what are you doing? And he looks around. And I look around. And I'm thinking I'm going to see, he's going to see her spirit. But no, he's having a delusion, I believe. A hallucination where he just feels so down that he's hearing her voice. And she's saying, it's been 2 days since I've been dead. What are you going to do about it? And then he jumps up and says, I know, you know what we had planned, and I'm going to make sure. She says, we'll make them suffer for what they did to me. And he says, I will. And then so that first scene is very profound, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. He was hearing her voice, he was having flashbacks, and Liliana himself had a contentious relationship. If you go back to the original Power series with Ghost back in New York, which is, I'm still trying to figure out how she ended up in Chicago just randomly, but that's TV magic for you.
Well, we would have to research that because I remember when they met up, he was really angry with her, and I think she was his enemy. And then he became a frenemy. And then they decided to be partners, and he said, can I trust you? She said, yes, you can. So they joined forces and became partners, and then from that developed a friendship and a loyalty, trust. Tommy doesn't trust easy, and if you know his background, you can see why. But moving right along.
He don't be trusting nobody. Remember Keisha?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
His other ex-girlfriend, Holly.
Oh, that was so sad.
Choked out. Yeah.
That was so sad. But moving right along, we go into scene 2, where Tommy goes to what he thinks is the boss's house. And it could be, but the boss is not there. It's one of his goons. It's one of his workers. And then what happens, Clay?
He ends up they get into a struggle. He burglarizes the house. He waits for him, and there's a struggle. He tries to
How many
fire his
rounds?
gun.
I counted like 8 rounds. I was trying to count them out. How many rounds in a gun? And is it 8?
I'm not sure.
You need to write that in the comments. But anyway, and he throws him down. He says, "Oh, you're nothing without your weapon, huh?" And he starts struggling with the guy, and he says, "Who killed Liliana? Where is he?" And he keeps saying he doesn't know. And then what happens?
Then he says, "Okay, let me go cut your face. My friend had a little scar. You gonna get one too." Then he starts carving a scar just like Liliana had, and
Ooh, that was really intense. I felt that. Like that whole scene was really intense. So the guy ends up telling him exactly where his boss was going to be and at what time the next day, and then he kills him anyway, of course. And from that scene, it switches over, and Tommy is talking to his long-lost half-brother. And they are having a discussion. Actor, the brother, is that Anthony Fleming? The brother?
the brother that is
It's Chris Lofton, right?
Yes, Chris
Yes.
D. Lofton.
Yes. And they're having a discussion about, everything. What happened with Liliana. And he says, "You miss her, don't you?" And Tommy goes, "Yeah, I do." But then he looks over and he sees his mother. And his mother is like, so, I don't know, she's like goading. What they call it? Like she's just like doting.
Yeah.
And she's like doting over him, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of looking at this going, wow, she's so good with him. And his brother goes, yeah.
So just correction, Diamonds, the actor who portrays him is Isaac Keys.
Isaac Keys.
Yes,
Okay, correction.
Chris D. Lofton is Jenard.
Okay, thank you. So, moving right along. So he's doting, his mom is doting over his nephew. And I think Tommy is feeling a little pinch of jealousy. He can't get over it. He can't fathom that his mother would be this good. And like, where is this coming from? He's like amazed. Isn't that what you think it was? Because he kept looking at him. You think that he had a little pinch of jealousy there?
Yeah, he definitely was surprised for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his mother has always been crazy, a mess.
Well, his mother does have an addiction to drugs. I think heroin and cocaine and even alcohol. But she seems to be rather clean right now. And because she's clean, Tommy is like really shocked that she could be this kind and so thoughtful and so loving. And he didn't get that attention. He says, "I wish she would have done that with me." So then he goes over and he talks to his mother and says, "You're so good with him." And she goes, "Of course, I'm good. I'm a good communicator. I love people." And he goes, "Well, you look terrible. You look like, SHI. And she goes, and she's coughs and says, "Here, I got something for you." She goes, "No, I don't want it." He goes, "No, take it. She goes, "I don't want it. I'm serious. I want to be clean now." And so that, I was really impressed with that, weren't you?
Yeah, that was really a good show of restraint right there.
Yeah. Why do you think she showed restraint?
I think she's really making an effort now. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But then again, is she the most be trusted? Because if you remember going back to Power Book 2 with, Ghost with Tariq and Monet, how she kind of played you remember what she did at the end of that season?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Well, let's take a break and we'll be right back. Close that door, please.